This is the Authentic Dating series brought to you by Ahmad and David,
where we explore what it takes to have a dating life you're excited about.
Hi, I'm David.
I'm Ahmad.
And this is the Authentic Dating series. So this is a podcast for men mainly, but we seem to be helping a lot of women in how to create dating lives that they really feel where they can kind of introduce their authentic self in how they're living and how they're communicating with the people they date, instead of coming from a paradigm of, you know, having to be a certain way and say certain things that aren't necessarily part of who they are, because that's how the world says they should be, and coming from a place that they're not right in who they are and they need fixing. We kind of believe that, you know, you have all the kind of innate abilities and what you need to know to create beautiful relations with people and create beautiful connections. You just need to be pulled to let those out a little bit more and have the confidence to be yourself and communicate vulnerably with people.
Yeah. So I guess we're really just here to help you understand how to bring more of that out. And it really is a journey. In fact, just earlier today, we had a 2-to-1 session. I was going to say 1-to-1 session. We had a 2-to-1 session.
It's a threesome.
Yeah, it was a threesome. We had a threesome. We had an online threesome. That's a thing now. With someone who is an avid listener, and she wanted some help with her dating life, and really, even in that, understanding how it was, there was a sense of her being vulnerable and really sharing herself and being free. And you know what? She's a little bit younger, and we both got that. You know what? It's life. It's like you're a bit younger now, in time with more experience, these things that seem so difficult and need to be urgently sorted. Actually, over time, it's with experience, you do go through and become more relaxed with these things. So that was really cool. And so the other thing I want to say is just thanks to all of our listeners who have been dropping us questions and getting back to us. We've really seen an uptick in the number of people responding and engaging with us now. So it's it's really fun actually.
Yeah, we love answering questions and talking to people on comments. So it just keeps growing, which is really beautiful. People hearing what we're saying, they're enjoying it. And it's helping them more than anything. Less about enjoyment, but more about actually making a difference and helping people in what they're dealing with in their lives. Because dating is a bit of a minefield, as I explained. Said someone today, I was like, dating is chaos. It's just fucking chaos out there. There's no way that it has to be or way you should be. And a lot of us find that chaos to be quite difficult, including myself, if I'm honest. I'm still struggling in the chaos in so many ways. So just a big thank you for those that share. If you think the podcast could help someone, just share it with 1 or 2 people, or post up on your social media and say you enjoyed it or what you enjoyed about it, and let us know as well. Make sure you tag us or send us a message about what bits you loved and what helped you and what made a difference to you in your life, your dating life, or whatever, your work, your week, whatever it may be.
Yeah, it really does help. It's just the way that the social media thing works, but it's really cool, especially if you're learning something from us. If you don't want to just share us, it's fine, but share what you learn. It's cool as long as the information is getting out there. That's what really matters. And so far so good. So, do you want to introduce this? Yeah.
So we are going to be speaking somewhere. We're going to be speaking at an event in London. So sorry to all you non-London listeners. We're going to be speaking at an event on the 27th of July. It's called BYOWM.
What the hell does that stand for?
That doesn't stand for anything. No. It stands for Bring Your Own Wingman. So the whole idea of the event is there's going to be a panel discussion with various kind of social media people and dating coaches about, various things about dating and helping you in your dating life. But the idea is bring men and women into the same space, because often with these sorts of events, a lot of women turn up and there's no men. So we want to we're putting this on. Taylor Matched, who will be on a episode pretty soon with us, is running an event, and she is bringing a panel of people together to speak about various dating related stuff and sexual empowerment and stuff like that. So if you're in London that day, you should come along, get to talk to us. We'll have a drink. We'll fix your dating life. We'll fix all your problems. But it'll just be a fun evening where we talk about dating, and you'll get points of view from multiple different people. And it'd be great to meet some of our listeners as well, actually, actual listeners, meet in person and talk.
Yeah, that's again, we were out at a party last night, and which was revolved around dating, and it was actually Hayley Quinn's party.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Something that she was hosting, and it was really cool. It was nice to actually meet people face to face as opposed to just through the mic, or on Instagram.
Totally.
Yeah. I feel like we're doing a lot more of that now.
Yeah, we get out in the world meeting people, as you should when you learn about dating and stuff. So the event is Bring Your Own Wingman. You can, if you search on Funzine, it's on their website. So you can buy tickets through there. It's on the 27th of July, which is a Tuesday? No, it's a Wednesday.
Yeah. It's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday. So so it's 2 weeks Wednesday from now, pretty much.
Yeah.
It'd be great if you come down. And let us know. Let us know if you're a listener when you get there and you see us. We'll be pretty easy to spot.
And if you're completely rubbish at Googling and writing things down, then we will also be sharing about it on our story and on our Instagram. So in the coming week. Yeah. So don't worry.
And it'll be in the show notes as well.
Yeah. So don't worry if you completely missed it or you're just rubbish at Googling. It's very difficult. There's
I
think
of those
in Google.
There needs to be some degrees in Googling because people struggle with that. Sometimes like my sisters send me messages asking me questions like, how do I do this? And I'm like, do I look like fucking Google to you?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I didn't know Google was a big black man.
Yeah. So today we're going to have a pretty snappy episode in comparison to the previous ones, I think. But it's an interesting one because it's actually something Dave suggested that we discuss. And it's not necessarily something that I really thought about for a long time, but it has been my personal journey. And it's all about, well, how would you title this? What would you?
I would say, for me, this is like how your Muslim upbringing affected your dating and relationship outlook on life.
Yeah, so for a lot of the listeners who don't know, or anyone new who doesn't know, so I grew up in a kind of, I like to say strict Muslim family. I guess it wasn't as strict as some.
It's not like super, super strict, but it was still like you were, a proper Muslim.
Yeah, like
you weren't a part-time Muslim.
No, yeah, like I'd go to the mosque regularly and I'd be praying at certain times a day. I wouldn't ever say I did the 5 times prayer and all these things. But it was an interesting thing because growing up in the UK, and I think the first time it really made a difference to me was when I moved from one part of East London to another part, and I went to a predominantly white school. And just being in that environment where at home there was like a complete different culture, and then going into a school where predominantly everyone was white, like it was just how it was. And they had completely different ideals and beliefs and how they run things. And this was just primary school. Yeah. And I remember, what age is primary school again?
Like you get it like 4 or 5?
No, a bit older than I think I was.
Really? 6?
Yeah. What's the oldest you get to?
Oldest? Up to 11, right?
Oh, yeah. So I think it was close to that time. And one of the earliest memories I have is being in primary school and like people was like starting to be boyfriend and girlfriend, even though it was just like a, just play like kind of a play thing.
A little bit of holding hands.
Yeah, all of that jazz. And for me, it was just something that you just didn't do. It's not part of the culture Islamically. So I always felt a bit like it wasn't even really being left out. It was more like, oh, this is something that I don't do. Like
so from a young age, you feel like you knew that isn't something that you do.
Well, that's what I believed. Like it just wasn't the, how do you say, it wasn't the correct thing. It wasn't the right thing to do. It was, if anything, it was the wrong thing to do because like Islamically, you're supposed to meet one person and get married, and that's the religious way. That's the proper way. And anything outside of that is wrong. Yeah. Essentially. Yeah. So that was the beginnings for me. And I'd have to say, even before that, I'd have to say, like one of the funniest memories I have of being a kid. And when I first discovered even just the, not fully, obviously not fully understanding what sex is. Because this is going to sound terribly stupid. But I was quite young. I don't remember. Let's just say I was like, 0.5. But I remember like thinking to myself one day, like, oh, okay. Like, so when I'm older and I'm married and I've got kids and the kids are asleep, I will go have sex with my wife.
Okay.
Yeah, not realizing that one needs to have sex in order to have kids.
Wow. So it was before you knew that sex and children were linked.
Yeah.
So he would have been like maybe under 10.
0.5.
You got some deep memory right there.
No, so I don't know exactly when, but that I just remember having that as a thing. Like, oh, and you know what's interesting talking about it now is just already at whatever young age it was, having a sense of curiosity around something that I believed to be completely forbidden. Like I just believed it to be completely forbidden.
Because you didn't even know about the whole children and sex thing.
Yeah.
So for your listeners out there that aren't sure about that, children are produced through having sex.
Can we quote some scientific paper on that? We'll get something.
We'll put that in the show notes. If you're unsure about this, message us and we'll talk about that.
If you disbelieve us that sex and children are linked, we will add the appropriate scientific notes.
You can do your own research and that's how you go.
I think New Scientist has an article about it. So like imagine that, like that. So already from a very young age, like I had a very warped view of of relationships and sex. And I think just generally, I know throughout my whole high school up until university, like all of that was just like that. Like it was a no-go. Like just having sex and stuff was just no-go. Like I just wouldn't.
So let's fast forward a bit, right? And you're in high school. And then for those of you who don't know, me and Ahmad went to high school together. So I do know some about his high school life. So does that mean like in high school, you just stayed away from girls completely?
Well, that's, I mean, did I stay away from girls completely? It's more of a case of like, they found me.
That's called stalking.
No, they found me. I didn't. But no, it's not that I stayed away from girls completely, but it was like it was really awkward. I was super awkward, and I just had no sense. So, I banged the table. So I remember, so my first ever girlfriend in high school was a girl in the sixth form. And I remember when I first met her, like a mutual friend called me into like the communal area.
Sixth form is like what, you like 16, 17?
Yeah, you know.
I know, but listeners might not know.
Yeah, I don't know,
I remember.
0.5.
I think I knew before he knew that she liked him.
Yeah. You probably did. And as jokes, I actually feel quite like
get a bit sweaty there.
Yeah. So, but I remember, so a friend of mine called me into like this communal area. Like there's like a bar area in the school that like in the evenings it would be like a normal bar, but in the daytime
there was no alcohol served to young children.
To young children. Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, sit down," and then he was there with this girl next to him, and then he was just like, "Oh, this girl likes you," and I was just completely fucking floored, like taken aback, and I had no idea what to do from that point. Till the point that I actually, because I did like her, I was attracted to her. She was a nice girl. So from the point that I knew that she liked me, to the point that we actually like even started dating, let alone kiss or whatever, and hold hands, right? I swear it was 3 months. 3 months.
3 months.
3 months of not knowing, just absolutely.
So 3 months of like you were dating? Was she your girlfriend?
No. 3 months of nothing. Like 3 months of me like wondering how to move this forward.
So you're saying, just to clarify for listeners, so you spent
I've come a long way.
So you spent 3 months. There's a girl comes up to you, says, "Oh, I like you," and you're like, "Oh, I'm attracted to her," and it took you 3 months to do anything, like to know. You spent 3 months thinking about how to take it from those words to taking some action, like a kiss or a holding of hands.
A kiss, to kind of like actually getting to a point where we're like, "Oh yeah, let's date, let's do something." And you know what? Like thinking back, a lot of it was just like feeling so unsure, unaware, unskilled. Like I just felt like I didn't have.
You didn't know what to do.
There's that movie. I forget the name of it now, where the guy is like, you're like a bear with claws, and like she's a rabbit. And you just got to grab her with the claws, and you just like, and you're like, what do I do with these claws? And you just got to grab. And it was literally like that scene in that movie that I can't remember the name from, but other people who know the movie will recognize it.
Please, listeners, can you get in touch and tell us what the movie is? Because I have no fucking idea either.
Yeah. It's a great one though. It's got Johnny Vaughan? Vince Vaughn. Yeah. It's old school.
It's still that. It's not old school.
No, it's not old school though.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, that's another Vince Vaughn movie.
That's a really good movie, old school.
Yeah. This one came out way before that one.
Okay.
So that was like my first like foray into dating, and we never really got like sexual other than I think beyond oral. Like, and I was really hard and fast on those rules, and if I remember correctly, that really frustrated her, and I think it was a point of contention until eventually we broke up. So yeah.
So we're saying, so you and all of this, you feel like this, like your hard and fast rules around like where things could go, or your awkwardness, you felt it come from this idea that you shouldn't be doing anything, you shouldn't be talking to women, you shouldn't be doing anything sexual with women, which come from the
Well, you know what, a lot more in high school, it was more obvious to me that those were the underlying rules or underpinning ideas that ran my thinking. But then as I got older, like I didn't see that was the obvious. Even then at school, I don't think I really fully understood that was the underpinning concepts that set the foundation for me to think that way. Like I say, it was more obvious that back then because I was, I guess, still more religious. I'm less so now, and just understanding that was that basically guided my thinking. But it also gave me a deep sense of shame, and like I said, like I made the metaphor of being like a bear with claws and not knowing what to do. But essentially, that's exactly how it felt. Like 3 months to go from a point of knowing that a girl likes me to actually even doing anything, and that's not even the first time. That's not even the last time. Rather, there was a fast forward to university, and I had a very similar situation occur where a girl let me know that she liked me. I found her attractive, and again, it was rough. I think it was about a month that time. Took it down.
Getting
to
better.
Yeah.
Getting better. The Islamic programming was getting less. It was wearing away at you.
Yeah, and so yeah, but it really did create. It basically created, without me realizing, like it created a sense of separation between something that just seemed so natural for other people. And one of the most obvious things that stood out to me was like essentially I would feel afraid of women, not knowing why. So, we went out a lot, and we prior to us becoming coaches and stuff, like we were just out and just always, and I would always feel like, remember that time I came to university, to your university, and I was hanging out with you guys. And I was so fucking clueless. Like I just had zero concept of how to anything. It was like, I was like asking you, basically it was like, how do you get 2 pieces of Lego to stick together? It's like, basically I was that basic.
I remember there was we were out one night and, big up my friend Zeus, because we were at uni together, and Carl and, Ashley as well. We were out one night and we were enjoying ourselves, and you were there as well, drinking lemonade and orange juice probably.
Yeah.
And we were like having fun with some girls, talking to some girls, blah, blah, blah. And you kind of came over and you were just like, how do you talk to them? What do you do? And we were like, dude, man, just have fun. And they just come over and you just have fun with them. And and I remember the look on your face there, because I'd said it to other people before at that time. It was just like, it's like trying to explain quantum physics to an 8-year-old. Like
a normal 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Not like a smart
it just
one.
Made no sense, right? It didn't make any sense to you at the time.
Yeah.
And it's amazing like how, a religious upbringing can just like seep into these levels of life. Like obviously, you grow up being told that you shouldn't be sexually active with women, and it's wrong and it's bad and you'll go to hell and you'll burn for the rest of your life. Like, my family, or Christians, and then they love a bit of preaching of hellfire, and eternal damnation. And it could be really strong, that this belief that like if you do this thing, you've sinned and you're gonna die forever.
Yeah, totally. And I totally bought into that as well. And I have to say, like, the impact of it is actually, even for people that are very religious, the impact of it does create a insecurity. Or it can do, not it does. It can create an insecurity, a lack of confidence, and a disconnection from one's own desires, how they feel, how they think,
and between like what you want to do and what you think you should be doing, right? So it just creates this kind of complete like gap.
Yeah,
like a complete kind of gap between what you want to do is like speak to women and be intimate and have sex, things like that. But what you should be doing is going to the mosque and praying.
Well, there is that, but I mean, that's only 5 times a day. It's not all the time. but
it's more to say, it's not being involved with the women is what you should be doing.
Yeah. But you see, like the thing is, it's like it creates this. What it creates is a guilt and a shame, and then like in everything, like in the communication, even in the relationship.
Yeah.
Like, when I think about it now, like some of the stuff that has happened in my relationships in the past that has eventually, like in some cases, led to a breakup has been the same shame, the same guilt. And so then I'm not sharing things with my family. And then my ex-partner or something, she'd be like, why are you not telling them about us? Or why are you hiding certain facts or like just details about the relationship? And for me, it was always because of this sort of like wanting to avoid conflict. And again, I totally get that, not everyone is the same as me. And some people are just like, whatever, this is a non-issue for them and that's fine. But this was my experience.
Yeah, totally.
And I really saw how that like permeates. And actually, the funny thing is like, I've started noticing now how many other people have similar issues, not just to a Muslim, but have from different religious backgrounds or cultural, like very strong cultural backgrounds. And not realizing how they seek one thing, which let's just call it freedom or experience or, to just satisfy their curiosity. But then at the same time, they are tethered by their cultural beliefs.
Yeah.
And not realizing that they don't necessarily believe or truly like resonate with those beliefs.
Yeah.
But they still hold them because it's, what's the word? It's like out of some sort of honor. Honor's not really the right word I'm thinking of, but it's out of, no, it's not honor. What is it?
Obligation?
Obligation. Yeah. Obligation. Something like that. So yeah, like, and the sad thing is like, I'm just thinking back to what I was saying earlier. It was like for a lot of my life, like, I was just dealing with, and it can still happen to me where like simple things like making eye contact, it's like, I shouldn't be looking.
You shouldn't be looking at women.
And majority of my time when I was young, when my parents were around, I like obligation wise and honor wise, I'd be looking away. I wouldn't want them to see me looking at a woman. Yeah. Right. And
can you ever remember a time where you were punished or told off for?
No. And that's the funny thing.
That's
so in the end, I was programming myself.
Yeah. It's a perception.
Like, yeah. I was programming myself. And that's the funny thing. It's like I live this way. I was going to say you, but it's not you. I live this way. And the other funny thing that I see happen is like, so then, for a lot of us who are in this culture, we normally around about the age of like 20 to 30, like marriage becomes a very prominent theme from the parental figures. And then someone who basically up until that point, whether it be 20 or 24 or 30, up until that point has been told like you shouldn't be doing this. Now they need to somehow get their shit together and
start talking to some women.
Yeah, and be able to communicate and express and talk to women. And I think here lies the bigger issue, because then if by some magic, despite that conditioning, you were able to
get it together
and be very
charismatic and interesting and comfortable with women as well, right?
Oh man, there's so many things, so many memories. Like the amount of the opposite of self-consciousness, like just being self-conscious and being so overly like stuck. I remember once during university, I was hanging with some friends during the summer holidays, and we were just guys in the house, and then a girl came round. I never even looked at her, right? I was sat watching TV. She came and sat on the couch opposite, and she was watching TV. I couldn't fucking move. I was literally fucking frozen. Yeah. Every little move I made, I was so self-conscious of like how it was coming across, what was coming across. And so a lot of these things I feel was born out of this
belief you shouldn't be talking to women, shouldn't be looking at them, shouldn't even be around them.
And then that I don't know what to do now, and
you don't know how to be. What's an interesting thing I can add is like, especially not in the last few years, but when we first started kind of hanging out, probably like 10 years ago or so, one of the things that when Ahmad come to me and was like, he wanted some help with, speaking to women, was eye contact. And like, I'm a big believer when I say to them, I've coached guys, and I say to them, it's like, if you see a woman you like, you should look at her. Like, I'm not saying staring. I think, I know what class staring is. Is that looking for longer than 10 seconds? I don't know. Just call it. looking for more than 5 seconds is staring, right? At one go without looking away. Like, and for a lot of men, they feel very uncomfortable with just looking at a woman that they actually desire and going, oh, I desire her. I'm going to look at her. I might even smile because, you know, I'm enjoying looking. But I remember that was something for you that was really difficult, like actually looking at a woman and being like, oh, I like her, and actually just going, oh, I'm going to rest my eyes for a little while.
I'm going to rest my eyes.
Like, rest my eyes upon her.
Oh, shit. That's funny. Yeah.
So another question. So, you know, we've dealt with like a lot of your younger years and stuff. How do you feel this is kind of affected your relationships as an adult with women?
Yeah, so as I mentioned just a moment ago, then like up until I'd have to say just a couple of years ago, like it still had a grip on how I interacted in a relationship and what I was sharing and what I wasn't sharing. And I actually, to be fair, I'd have to say it must still do to a degree, but a lesser degree, but still to some degree. And there's like always like this idea of like mixing two different cultures depending on like who I date. But I tend to date like non-Muslim girls, and so like, you know, my current girlfriend is she's French and non-Muslim. I think she's Catholic background. She's not like, but she's not religious or anything like that. But just like a different background, different culture. But now I'd have to say, like, after my last relationship, where things really just went to like a cataclysmic fucking end because of the fact that I was hiding, that really blew open this awareness around how, like, my whole life I ventured looking for this sense of freedom and wanting to be free, and yet here I was being not free. Very much against the value of freedom, which I'd always lived hard for. And that really opened my eyes. And personally for me, like, again, you know, each person to their own, and whatever someone chooses to do is their thing. But for me, I was like, wow, that's like, I choose to be free. And here I am not being free, and that doesn't work. Like, for me, that doesn't work. Like, it just does, like, it doesn't go with me. I'm essentially like that movie, Divergent. I'm like one of those. You put me anywhere, something can be perfect. I'll find something else to do. Like, just like I always need to change up, switch up, whatever. I have that sort of. I think you need people like us in society that are just constantly going, no, let's do something else, and so. So now I'm like, what it's actually created for me is this like great awareness, and in fact, if anything, I think it's actually, so like Chloe, my girlfriend, will say to me how she thinks it's amazing that, given where I began, even I'm thinking now on this podcast in just 30 minutes, I've realized just where I began, to where I am now is like, wow. That's a it was a long fucking road, like long fucking road. And it definitely, you know, despite the fact that I've spoken mostly saying, oh, you know, I felt limited in a lot of ways, I would say now like a full 180, and it's like, well, actually all those limitations have led me to being who I am now, and being way more compassionate and understanding of all people, regardless of what beliefs and what they choose to believe, because I see how much like feeling unfree impacted me, and I'm just like, well, I just want people to just be free. Chill, just be free, be chill, whatever you want to do. I'm like one of the last people to judge, because I'm just like, I do dumb shit, I do fucked up shit, I do my own, I do my own stuff, like, so I'd have to say like my whole experience, and essentially what I like to call my story, and I believe that we all have a certain story when you've lived to a certain point, and you can look back and sort of summarize what your life's been about and where you're going. You can look and go, there's a theme here, there's a certain adventure, there's a certain thing. And like my story has largely been about finding my own authority and finding like what's true for me. And not just doing, as you said earlier, obligation for obligation's sake. Like, you know, it's great. Like any sort of daily practice is like phenomenal for keeping us focused and for keeping us in a connectedness to something bigger than ourselves. And I really believe that. But I think everyone should be free to find their own.
So, do you feel that being Muslim has affected your dating life in terms of the women that are willing to date you?
Less so than we did an episode with Kish before, and he was speaking about, and actually we're going to record another one with him where we talk about this sort of stuff again, right? And it's like, it's interesting how we all have different experiences, and I don't think that being Muslim affected me so much. It probably did in ways I didn't even notice.
Just unaware.
Yeah, like, you know, let's say on Tinder or something, when I was back in the Tinder days, maybe some people saw me and didn't respond, whatever, but I would be none the wiser.
Yeah.
They don't rarely, rarely do they connect and then tell you to fuck off.
Because you're Muslim.
Yeah.
You look Muslim.
Yeah. Rarely is that the case. But so I don't think so. And to be fair, again, I think that's just my personal experience because of who I am, how I speak, how I was raised. I was like born here. I'm very like culturally diverse, culturally rich, I'd have to say, because I've traveled to different countries. I think traveling itself gave me a certain sense of just chill because I've met people from all over the world, and I just feel like, you know, when you meet people from different countries, I really get a sense everyone's on their own thing, man.
And everyone's pretty much the same as well.
Yeah.
That feeling that like we're not so different, no matter how humans have this innate, I don't know, longing to always point out the differences between us, when actually really 99% of the time we're exactly the same, and there's a few small differences.
It's like the desire to be different when in fact we're all just bloody the same.
Yeah.
2 arms, 2 legs in most cases. So no, I don't think it massively had an impact on me. But again, I must say that's largely because of who I am and my personality. Because I also find that I'm just someone that, because I'm quite accepting and open, that people generally gravitate towards me. So yeah.
So one more question.
Right.
How do you feel that your kind of Muslim upbringing affected your sex life?
Well, as right from the beginning, it made it very awkward. But at the same time, I think, again, because of my own curiosity, I sought to like find like my own stance. And in an odd way, like even when I was like very early on, like I didn't have sex until, I guess the biggest way it affected me is that I didn't have sex until much later in life, until I was like into my early 20s. That was something that, because I'd always had it like, you know, I shouldn't have sex before marriage. So that's how that kind of unfolded. But other than that, like I think it would have been a lot to do with like my like then having to pick up like the like understanding, awareness. I was gonna say like what I was gonna say before was that I had an awareness though for some strange reason. It was just like kind of like a booster so I didn't struggle too much with this, but this awareness that you should be comfortable naked. Like it was just an awareness. I don't know why, but it's just, and so I could pretend and because I just had that kind of, it was almost like, at least for that, I was given like in the Matrix, you know, I was given that piece of the programming, so I can just be like, okay, cool. I don't have to, because I can totally understand how that would be an issue for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like there'll be so much shame and guilt and
being naked.
Whereas, I mean, it was there for me. I can't say it wasn't there. It was there for me. I was just able to pretend that I was faking it, like just faking the, like being able to just be like, yeah, cool, this is chill. Yeah, I think probably there's probably a lot more guilt and shame than I actually truly fully understand right now. Because I'm also at a point in my life now where I'm just like, you know what, there are things that, because, you know, we're both 35 now, right? So we've gone through enough stuff where you just go, you know what, I've boastfully said like I'm done with this, or I'm good at this now, and I'm that, and then actually you realize no, you're not, because life comes and slaps you in your face and tells you,
nah, not done with you yet.
Yeah, you need to learn more about this particular thing. And so, hey, for all I know, I'm still deeply wounded and have issues with it. But what I definitely am more of now is just free with that, and I'm actually also a lot freer with my own awkwardness. I'm quite happy to be awkward and just be like, it's okay, like whatever. And actually, I'd have to say, for anyone who feels awkward or different or ashamed or this and that or whatever out there, you know, take it from me. If you've been listening to all of this, and I'm presuming you have been if you got this far of the way through, you're not just fast forwarded to this bit of the podcast to catch the ending or near the end, is that, you know what, most of the successful people out there in the world, and by successful, it's by people that are out there active doing stuff, they have some level of anxiety or oddity or weirdness or some hang. Everyone does, not even some of them, all of them. Every single person you see out there especially the high functioning ones. And it just doesn't matter. I don't care if it's money or media or whatever you perceive to be successful in your eyes. Even Mother Teresa had her hang-ups.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, we were out last night and I was talking to one of the girls that was kind of organizing the event. And at some point I was like kind of joking around with her, asking her for some coaching. And she was like, you don't need coaching. And we were talking and she was like, no, like, you're just too smooth. And it's funny because, like, in that moment, in my head, I'm really being really awkward, and my body feels a bit awkward, and I don't quite know how to be, and I'm trying to get her attention to have a conversation with her. But how that people receive that is completely different, right? So it's like, no matter how polished and how like smooth an operator people see, like whether it's work or whatever, there's always a level of awkwardness in them. And if you ever spend the time, like we recommend you as listeners, is to like those people you see as like smooth operators or high functioning people or successful people, if you ever get the chance to ask them and delve into like where they feel awkward or what they feel they're not very good at, you'll be really surprised to hear that it's things that you see them do or hear them do that you feel they do really well.
Yeah. Like, I'm almost finished reading Elon Musk's biography, which if anyone's interested in just what it is to be a high producing specimen of the human race, he's definitely up there. And yeah, he's totally like in his own world about stuff. He's super smart. Some might say he's on a spectrum somewhere in terms of autism or whatever. But he's like, he'll go down in history as a legend. Yeah, like one of the biggest contributors to human evolution and technology or whatever. And there's not been someone like him for a long time. Like even in the book, they mention how he's achieved more than Steve Jobs.
Wow.
Yeah, because if you look at what he's done, it's But anyway, this is not the podcast for it. That's another podcast we do on Elon Musk. All things are about Elon Musk.
Well, we all suck Elon Musk dick.
Live on mic. Yeah. So that's one of the things we have to cut out of this podcast so often is Dave going.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Yeah. So it's fascinating really, because when we're young and whatever, we think, oh, that person, I wish I could be more like them. They're like whoever, Justin Bieber or whomsoever is now the person that everyone's watching.
Ariana Grande.
Like, they've all got their issues. Look what happened to Britney Spears. Yeah. It's like, man,
shaved her head, man.
Yeah.
And her parents put her to work.
Yeah. Back out there.
Cool. I think we've covered some interesting bits and pieces there. Like, we've covered, to a little recap is going to be a bit tricky there because it's just like a lot of talking without any kind of points.
I can recap if you like.
Yeah? Okay, you did all the talking.
I did, yeah. So, to recap, do you really need a recap? Oh, you do? Okay. So to recap, basically we were just talking about how did my strict religious upbringing, and Dave likes to name it, Muslim upbringing, affect my dating life, my sex life, relationships, and understanding how our upbringing really impacts us. I mean, that's kind of an undercurrent theme here with that as well. And perhaps in another episode we'll talk about Dave's how Dave's affected.
I've got problems.
Yeah. But really, it's just understanding how all these things connect together and impact us. And actually, in the grand scheme of things, it's not the be all and end all of whatever it is that you feel you have a hang up about, because often the same thing that has you feeling stuck when you're young is then the same thing that then forces you, or inspires you rather, not forces, inspires you to make a change later on. Yeah. And you see, for me, it was actually at university, and I mentioned this a lot, is that it was at university where I was like, damn, I'm really awkward socially, and I want to switch it up. And in fact, it was after that I made that decision that I actually became a lot closer to you. And, and soon after, maybe 2, 3, 4 years after that, started coaching other guys. And wow,
that's a long way to come in a few years.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I must say, wherever I go, wherever I talk, even last night, just casually talking about stuff, we're never pushy with our knowledge or whatever. We're just chill. But whenever someone wants to hear, there was that young guy last night. He was only 24. You know what? You went to the toilet, and I was just saying to him about life. I was like, I really get that you just need to hear that, there's also sad stuff in life, and it's okay, and understand that it's okay, because there's all this focus on positivity, remove the darkness, remove healing. Everything, this idea of healing. why the fuck do we think we need to heal? We were born this way, then surely this is the way it is. Like,
well, there's the stuff that happens between being born and now.
Yeah, I get that, right? But I'm talking about when a lot of people talk about healing as in just wounds or past wounds and these sort of things.
Past lives.
I don't know just how far back they're going to go, but just healing in general, like, oh, there's something fucked up because of this happened. And okay, yeah, you make a fair point. I'm not talking about any sort of abuse scenarios and situations that like, or post-traumatic stress disorder or stuff like that. That's fair enough, right? But that is that there is a healing there. But a lot of people are just like, just with the basic being a human, they're like, oh, we need to heal, we need to remove something. But hey, this is part of life. Like, we all feel this way. And I think actually the more we can just go, actually, I have negativity, you have negativity, we're functioning just fine, we're still alive. And no matter what our experiences have been, we can all actually live and share and enjoy. So that's the undercurrent theme of today's podcast. I hope you've enjoyed and got something out of it.
Yeah. I was going to just get onto if you want to get in touch with us, like, we love hearing from our listeners. It really is, joyful for us, really. Like when we hear from people on Instagram a lot of the time, get in touch with us and ask us questions or suggesting topics. Like we actually get quite excited about it. So yeah, if you want to get in contact with us, like, and get us on Instagram, it's Authentic Dating Series. And please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or, iTunes is basically where most people are listening, as far as I know. There's a few of you on other things, but
probably where you're listening right now.
Yeah. So yeah, please subscribe. Please please rate and give us a review. That would be amazing, because the more ratings and reviews we have, the more people see our podcast and the more people can be helped by what we're saying.
Yeah. And just another point on the questions, like, do ask us questions now, because we are becoming more famous, and we're going to have less time to answer those questions when we're like really famous and we're hanging out with Puff Daddy and stuff. So ask them now while we've got the chance. Don't be waiting and thinking I'll do it later, because later might not come. We might be like, bro.
Or we might be dead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's that too. Yeah.
That happens.
And on that note, I'll actually just say it just before we go as well. If you're still here, thanks for listening right to the end. Just to remind you again about that event that's happening. Bring your own wingman.
Yeah. So it's Bring Your Own Wingman. It's on the 17th of July in London. The actual location is on the link. It's on Funzine. So if you just hop over there and just search for Bring Your Own Wingman, it's on the 17th of July. It's hosted by Taylor Matched. And we'll be talking there on a panel, I think, about dating stuff.
Yeah. Cool. All right, guys.
Thank you very much. Ciao.
Bye.